Ha ha ha, I know. Just a few days ago, we had made a video talking about this same trade idea. Hey, it's Arizona, it's Jakob Chychrun, and it's Toronto. Could we see a potential swap there? But because this article came out just yesterday, I was like, okay, that idea is so crazy that I need to make another video about this. Like, I know I don't like to do this where we talk about the same thing repeatedly over and over again, but I feel like the magnitude of how significant this conversation is makes it a little bit more appropriate to bring the entire topic up once again. So today we're going over the Arizona Coyotes defenseman Jakob Chychrun and the idea of him getting traded over to the Maple Leafs once again, but instead of talking about the trade proposal that included Liljegren and Topi Niemela and Alex Kerfoot from Nick Kypreos, we're going over onto another article, this time published by Michael Trakos, also on the Toronto Sun. The time has never been better to trade Maple Leafs Nick Robertson. Now, I've said this several times, and I'll say it again right here. I'm a Filipino dude. I was born over there. I moved over here in Vancouver, BC when I was 1.5 years old, and I'm really short because of it. I'm only 5'3". But at the same time, because of that heritage, it's very nice whenever I, as a hockey fan, see any sort of connection between the sport that I love and people who also happen to be Filipino, and Nick Robertson is indeed one of those. Him and his brother, they are half Filipino, half American, and it's been really fun seeing their profiles and everything that's been done in their careers. There was a feature done on ABS-CBN, which is a Filipino broadcasting channel, on Nick Robertson and his entire Maple Leafs tenure. I think that video was done like a year ago, something like that. It was broadcasted over there in the Philippines, but either way, Nick Robertson is a very intriguing hockey prospect, not only because of his race, but because of his overall profile just in general. He was born on September 11, 2001, 5'10", 183 as a left-handed guy, and he was one of the youngest players in the entire 2019 draft. In his 2018-19 draft season, he had 55 points in 54 games played in the OHL, which is not bad in the slightest. However, the season after, he absolutely exploded, getting 55 goals, 86 total points in only 46 games played. He then made the Maple Leafs in the bubble playoffs. He scored a goal against Columbus, and he was a point-per-game guy for Team USA at the World Juniors. Give it a few more years, and as Robertson goes up and down between the Maple Leafs and the Marlies, he eventually rounds out as a very capable Marlies point-per-game guy in 21-22. This season, though, after putting up 2 points in 2 games for the Marlies once again, he was brought on to the Maple Leafs. He's played 2 games so far, and he's got 2 goals. Now, the 2 goals that he scored were in the same game against the Dallas Stars, happened to be against his brother, which is very funny and a very ironic tale of brothers clashing on the ice, I guess you could say. But Robertson was an absolutely electric player. You'd seen the goals that he had scored. They were all over the highlight reels. The overtime winner was a very nice one, and it was such a hype moment for a lot of Maple Leafs fans who were watching Robertson ever since his OHL days in 2019-2020 and saying, darn, this guy is a talented, tenacious, offensively gifted small forward that has a really high ceiling when it comes to his offensive productivity at the National Hockey League level. It's so great seeing this guy who's 21 years old make the Maple Leafs, score some big goals, and stick around on the team in a top 6 role. This is why this article by Trakos is so funny to me. Why the time has never been better to trade Maple Leafs Nick Robertson. After scoring twice in his season debut, including the overtime winner against the Dallas Stars on Thursday, the verdict is in, Trakos writes. Maple Leafs winger Nick Robertson belongs in the National Hockey League. The only question is, where in the NHL does he belong? On a line with John Tavares and William Nylander, or in Arizona as part of a trade package for defenseman Jakob Chychrun? With Muzzin sidelined indefinitely, all signs are pointing to the desert. I know, Trakos says. Why would the Leafs even think about trading a 21-year-old rookie who hasn't even scratched the surface of his potential? Why move someone whose shot and speed could make him a regular fixture in the top 6 for years, who, like his older brother, could grow up to be a 40-goal scorer in the NHL? And, long story short, Trakos pretty much says it's because Robertson is a forward. And the team kind of needs someone who could take on tough minutes away from Riley and Brody. Someone who is a defenseman and someone who is a little bit younger. Someone like Chychrun. Pretty much the argument, and it's not written anywhere like this specifically, it's actually kind of written all over the place. It's a really long article, so you can go ahead in the comments, or not the comments, the description, and click the link if you want to read this piece yourself. But pretty much Tracos is saying that the top 6 of the Maple Leafs is already so offensively potent that they don't really need, per se, a guy like Nick Robertson. Sure, he's nice to have. He wins you hockey games and you know he's going to get better, but the Maple Leafs could afford to lose on somebody like Robertson if it means getting somebody on defense like a Chychrun whom you could really put on significant minutes to and have him carry the load defensively in a way that relieves Riley, Brody, and Muzzin when he comes back of some of those similar traits. Now, there is a Kerfoot thrown in there too. It's talked about here towards the end of the piece. If Muzzin is coming back at some point this season, then you cannot deal for Chychrun without also having to give back a similar salary. Muzzin has a no-trade clause, so that would mean having to part ways with Kerfoot. It's always freaking Kerfoot, isn't it? And it also says that if Muzzin is out for the entire year, then okay, you don't need to think about the Kerfoot thing. You could just get Chychrun for whatever it is that he's worth. Now, to be fair to Tracos, he doesn't actually go out there and label exactly what a package could look like. It just kind of hypothetically goes over the options here. Is Robertson plus Toronto's first-round pick in 2023 a better offer than if Ottawa gave up Tyler Boucher? By the way, we talked about him just the prior video on the channel. And a first-rounder. Is Edmonton willing to part ways with Broberg and a first-rounder? Is LA, which has been stockpiling prospects for years, ready to go all in? And so I want to hear what you have to say in the comments, because of course last time we had talked about Liljegren and Niemela, defensemen, and Chychrun and everything, and there were comments in that video, definitely Leafs fans chiming in and giving their opinions, but I wanted to ask this question again just a few days later. What if it's Robertson? Robertson in the first? For Chychrun, do you go out there and you do that because it allows you to hang on to a guy like Niemela and Liljegren and Sandin, as well as potentially keep around a guy that can, let's say, fill up the spot that Jake Muzzin leaves on this team when he's out on the LTIR? It's a really big ask for sure. Nick Robertson's a talented player, and a lot of people would say immediately after the 2019 draft that he probably should have been taken a lot higher than where he was in the second round by the Toronto Maple Leafs. What was that, 53rd overall? This is a draft steal, and a guy that has absolutely shown off incredibly well everywhere he has gone. And if he pans out to his potential, Nick Robertson could very well be a 30-goal, let's say 60, 65-point caliber guy in the National Hockey League. It's just, do you want to wait until he's 25 years old for him to be that? Or are you willing to say, okay, screw it, our window is right now, let's trade him away, let's get Chychrun, and we'll be a much better team because Riley and Brody are going to have some actual rest time in between shifts. I don't know, it's a philosophical debate at its core because I really do want to believe in Nick Robertson. We know he's an NHL talent now. It's just whether or not Malgin or him is the guy to stick around on that line. I mean, everybody's kind of saying that it's supposed to be Robertson now because, I mean, there's no reason not to. He's so talented and he meshed really well to the point that he scored 2 freaking goals in his first game. I know he went pointless in the game yesterday against Winnipeg, but you can't get him all the time, right? So either way, talk to the comments your thoughts about Nick Robertson, Jake Chychrun, the Tracos article. There is a conversation to be had in the comment section below, so I want you to contribute to that. Also, the link will be in the description to the article if you want to go ahead and read it. It's a pretty long piece with a lot of hypothetical examples thrown in there, so yeah, go ahead and read it on your coffee break, I guess. But talk to the comments either way all your thoughts about Robertson and Chychrun. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99, and bye.